One of the storybooks we read most often in the Lapp and Muhlbaum household is a book by Peter Reynolds called The Dot. This book features a little girl named Vashti who believes she cannot draw. Her art teacher sees that Vashti has turned in a blank sheet of paper and encourages her to make a mark and see where it takes her. So Vashti jabs a dot onto her paper. Her teacher pauses, considers the dot, and then asks her to sign it. Imagine Vashti's surprise when she next enters the art room for class and sees that her teacher has framed the dot and hung it up on her wall. Encouraged by this symbol of support, Vashti starts making lots of elaborate dots of different colors and sizes, all centered on the simple dot. We see a school art show where Vashti has a full gallery of dots hung up on the wall. A little boy comes up to her and he says, "Wow, these are amazing, but I can't draw. I can't even make a straight line." So Vashti tells him to just try, and she sees the squiggly line he makes. Feeling insecure, he looks up at her and she says, "Please, sign it." It's so good. The book is simple and short, and I really love it. It's a story of the beauty of courage and empowerment, and how sometimes we just need a person to see us in our struggle. That presence illuminates a path forward for us, where we can take another step and then another, and finally we can even pass our courage forward onto someone else who needs it. What this little girl Vashti discovers, that the smallest mark of bravery can open the path to something greater, is not just a lesson for children. It is the same truth embedded in our deepest stories across generations. We stand at a threshold on this Yom Kippur, a threshold that requires bravery to cross over. The year behind us lies in the past. The year ahead stretches before us, uncertain. We cannot go back, and we cannot yet clearly see what is to come. All we can do is try the next right step, one step at a time, trusting that our own courage might carry us through. From the beginning of the month of Elul through the end of Simchat Torah, we have a tradition of reading Psalm 27 every single day. The last line of the psalm reads, "Kaveh El Adonai, chazak ve'ye'ametz libecha," the Kaveh El Adonai. The psalmist tells us to look to God hopefully, to be strong and resolute. This phrase, chazak ve'amatz, is such a powerful one. It's a phrase I've been turning to for encouragement over the last several months. Chazak means strong and firm, and amatz deals more directly with courage, that we should be strong of heart. Taken together, this phrase emphatically encourages. It literally gives us courage, because it reminds us of the strength we already have within us. The psalmist's repetition is not redundancy, but insistence. They tell us to keep hoping, to keep strengthening our hearts. On this Day of Atonement, the most sacred of days in the Jewish calendar, we consider the psalmist's call to be brave. Today is the day we face ourselves and our God honestly. This takes courage and resilience. And resilience is what we need to take us not just through this day, but well beyond. The call to courage echoes not just in the Jewish tradition, but in others as well. The Right Reverend Marianne Edgar Buddy serves as the Episcopalian Bishop of Washington, D.C. A couple of years ago, this inspiring clergy leader published a book called How We Learn to Be Brave, Decisive Moments in Life and Faith. Part memoir, part guidebook, How We Learn to Be Brave presents a captivating analysis of three primary forms of courage: the courage to go, the courage to stay, and the courage to start, all while discussing just what we need to persevere. Bishop Buddy's categories to go, to stay, and to start resonate deeply with our sacred texts. In the book of Genesis, Abram and Sarai are called to go forth, lech lecha, to leave everything they ever knew, their homeland, their people, their language. They were literally called by God to get up and go. For many of us, the courage to go does not come with a clear voice of guidance and destiny from the Holy One of Blessing. But even so, sometimes we feel it in our bones when it is time to go, to leave a place or a relationship or a job, to change a dynamic. We feel when it's time to take a brave step and do something different. And that can feel affirming and terrifying, a change we eagerly embrace or staunchly resist. As Bishop Buddy writes, whether for the first or the 100th time, in choosing to go, we feel as if our lives matter. When we go in fear, we are given the courage to do what we think we cannot do. When we go in excitement, it's as if we'd been preparing our whole lives for this moment. That the cost of going is high merely confirms the importance of the call. Along the way, we are changed. The goal itself may change, or perhaps it is not even realized. But in deciding to start, we put ourselves on the path of transformation. In the inevitable moments of disappointment and failure, we learn to be brave and not give up, so nothing is lost or wasted. The courage to go, to step forward, can be overwhelming. After all, Eleanor Roosevelt wisely said, "Courage is doing what you think you cannot do." It's much easier for us to recognize the courage we see in people around us. After all, many of us find courage an admirable trait, something we feel inspired by witnessing in others. We are braver than we think, but we can't always see our own courage. In her book, Bishop Buddy teaches about Bruce Feiler's thesis that life transitions are not nearly as linear or predictable as typically described. They come at any time, often when we least expect them, and we learn to take them in stride. What Feiler calls a life quake is a transition of such magnitude that it fundamentally changes our meaning, our purpose, or our direction. We don't usually ask for a life quake. Many of us are comfortable in our routines, content with our lot, happy to keep moving forward pretty much exactly as we are right now. But throughout our lives, we experience fractures and forces that make us reevaluate who we are, what our purpose is, and where we are going. But if we come up for air, those moments of change can be so fruitful for us, and they reveal resilience we didn't know we had. Life quakes come when the ground shifts beneath us. For our ancestors, one such life quake took place on the shores of the water. The people were clamoring, they were afraid. Carrying their belongings on their backs and their children in their arms, they gathered on the eastern bank of the Jordan River. After 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, they were finally at the threshold of the land they had been promised. But between them and that promise was a river at flood stage. The Jordan was wide, rushing, and impassable. They could see the current tugging at reeds and sweeping branches downstream. Parents tightened their grip on their children's hands. They remembered stories about another body of water, the Sea of Reeds, long ago, when their parents and grandparents had stood trapped between Pharaoh's army and the waves. But this was a new generation with a new leader. Joshua had been told again and again, "Chazak ve'amatz," be strong and resolute. And so he turned to his priests, those carrying the Ark of the Covenant, and instructed them to walk straight into the water. The people held their breath. What leader would send priests into a raging river? Yet step by step they went in. The water reached their ankles and then their knees. Still the river raged. As their feet pressed deeper into the riverbed, the current suddenly halted, piling up far downstream, and the riverbed became dry ground. The people crossed over. Joshua's courage was not the dramatic gesture of a lone hero, but the steady faith of one who trusted the promise of God and dared to act with courage. Sometimes courage looks like putting one foot in front of the other, even though the current feels too strong, even though your life is quaking around you, believing that God's promise will hold. As God said to Joshua, "Chazak ve'amatz," be strong and resolute, do not be terrified, for God is with you wherever you go. It can be scary when we have to access the courage to go on a different path than we expected, the courage to make a change. It can be overwhelming. As writer Elle Doctorow said it, sometimes you can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. I wonder if that's how Abraham and Sarah, Abram and Sarai at the time, felt as they packed up and left, how Joshua felt at the riverbank, one step at a time into an unknown future. Scared, certainly, but brave. The hero's journey often looks like the courage to go, but what about the courage to stay? Staying rooted is a form of bravery and resilience too. Courage can also look like holding fast to what matters, even if escape or change might seem easier. After all, choosing to stay doesn't have to mean choosing to stay the same. As Bishop Buddy puts it, because the call to go is rightfully associated with the adventurous side of courage, choosing to stay can appear as if we are settling for less. But depth, which is the fruit of stability, is essential to a mature life and our capacity to make a lasting difference in the lives of others. While choosing to stay may not look like an adventure, the investment in depth and connection can require just as much courage. This reminds me of another story from our tradition. Haman, just checking to see if you're still awake. Haman convinced the king Ahasuerus to move forward with his plan to kill the Jewish people. Mordecai found out about those plans and went into mourning because he understood how catastrophic this idea would be for his people. He contacted his relative Esther, who was well positioned in the king's court, to take action and save the Jewish people. Mordecai said to Esther, "Umi yodea im leit kazot higat lamalchut." Who knows? What if you rose to a royal position for such a time as this? Surely Esther's plan A did not include having to use her status to save the Jewish people, but she was in the right place at the right time with the right amount of power to make a difference for the good. Part of the courage to stay is the courage to accept. And acceptance does not mean passivity. It means persevering through what we cannot yet change. In Deuteronomy 31, we read, "Chizku v'imsu, al tir'u v'al ta'artsu mipnehem." Be strong and resolute. Do not be in fear or in dread of them, for indeed your God Adonai marches with you. God will not fail you or forsake you. God's presence in our lives may not be as readily felt as it seems to have been to our ancestors in the Torah, but the intuition that guides our decision-making, the courage within us that helps each of us decide to be strong and resolute, maybe that elusive presence our ancestors of old wrote about. And that can help bolster us as we persevere. We trust we are not abandoned, even if the struggle feels overwhelming. I work with a spiritual director, and in our years together, certain themes and touchstone texts have emerged for us. One such text comes from outside the Jewish tradition, but perhaps you know it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This piece, commonly known as the Serenity Prayer, offers a simple but profound framework. Acceptance is resilience, not passivity, and courage requires us to discern where our agency lies. Bishop Buddy deepens this idea. She says, accepting what we did not choose and cannot change is one of the most courageous decisions we make and the most difficult. Acceptance can look like passivity or resignation, but it is not. For in acceptance, we actively engage with whatever we're faced with, precisely because this is what we're faced with. Like Esther, we do not choose our moment, but we do choose how to respond. It takes courage to persevere. The road is long, and we need resilience to last us through the lengthy journey, to lift us up when we fall, to guide us through our failures, and to glean everything we can from them so we do better next time. Friends, this is our time. This moment is the moment in history during which we are on the surface of this miraculous, marvelous, complicated planet. We didn't choose this moment, but we can choose how to respond to the time we are given. Kaveh El Adonai chazak ve'ye'ametz libecha v'kaveh El Adonai. The psalmist said, look hopefully to God. Be strong and resolute. Oh, look hopefully to God. Bishop Buddy says in her understanding, hope is the capacity to face reality no matter how difficult and still seek whatever good is possible. That kind of hope grows when we are willing to risk an act of courage, even a small one. Remember Vashti, the little girl from the dot? On this day of Yom Kippur, we do not need to finish a masterpiece. We only need to begin to make our mark with an act of honesty, a word of apology, a gesture of repair. Even a small dot of courage can help us begin to reshape our future. Lech lecha, we go forth. The invitation to step into the unknown, to journey beyond what is familiar, is at the heart of courage. It's the voice Abram and Sarai hear, the call that Esther and Joshua answer, the same call each of us hears when we must move forward into uncharted waters. It is the call to go beyond where we have been and to trust that on the other side of fear, possibility awaits. As we stand on this Yom Kippur, still very much on the threshold of this new year, we know we did not choose the moment we live in. And our question is not whether challenges will come, because we know they will. The question is, how will we choose to meet them? Will we shy away in fear, or will we take the next step, however small, however uncertain, however foggy the road ahead? Will we make our mark, even if it's just a dot? Will we bravely choose to stay, even if it doesn't mean staying the same? Our tradition gives us the charge, chizku ve'imtzu, be strong and resolute. We must be strong enough to face the truth of who we are, to begin again, to take the next right step. We must be resolute enough to keep going when the way is hard, to persevere in the long arc of justice and healing, to hold onto hope even when we stumble and fall. In our quest to be strong and resolute, I propose this Yom Kippur we make some new resolutions. May we go forth bravely when we are summoned to make changes. May we stay with courage when our presence, our voice, and even our chutzpah is needed. May we accept with courage what cannot be changed, and to change with courage what must not be accepted. May we move beyond the threshold of this new year with faithfulness, resilience, and hope. This is the work of a lifetime, but after all, perhaps we are here for exactly such a time as this. So let's go into the future together, bravely, in 5786 and well beyond, chizku ve'imtzu, may we be strong and resolute.